My colleague and I had been working on this project for just over a month and were now ready to complete it. Everything was in place. No detail was left unattended. We were ready to pull the proverbial trigger. Having gone to the hotel bar for a nightcap, we carefully examined the situation. There were a handful of business travelers in various states of intoxication. There is nothing unusual about this. I was looking for communication, my partner preferred privacy, and we sat down at opposite ends of the bar. He chose a place closer to the door, and I went to the far corner and sat down on a stool next to a guy who looked about 30. He was well-dressed, tall, and had pleasant features. I've always been a great judge of people, even when I was judging someone by accident. This guy was confident in himself and that he was the smartest guy in the room. After receiving my glass of Michter's 10-year-old single-barrel straight rye, I struck up a conversation. "In town on business?" "Yes. A 2-day quick sales meeting." "You?" "Yes, but for me it's just 1 day. I'll go home in the morning." "Where are you from?" "Miami." "You?" "Dallas. I don't mind coming to Minneapolis this time of year. It's damn hot in Texas in July. My name is Nick." He extended his hand. "Nice to meet you, Nick. I'm Brody." "Interesting name. I don't think I know any Brody." Jaws came out in the summer of '75, and my father was a big fan. I was born that fall, and he named me after Roy Scheider's character, Sheriff Brody. Several minutes were devoted to favorite films, sports, drinks, etc. After a few minutes, it became clear that my initial observation was correct. Young Mr. Nick was most in love with himself. Whatever movie I mentioned, there was a better movie. Great tape? No, he was better. Being a curious guy by nature, I just let him talk and brag about himself for almost an hour. When it became clear that his tongue was loose and his brain was telling him that he was on top, I changed the subject. "So, Nick, what about women?" "I don't see a ring, so I guess you're not attached. Are you a one-girl guy or just going with the flow?" "Damn it, man. Let me tell you about the greatest concert in the world, Brody." I leaned towards him, letting him know that I was sincerely interested. "Married women. This is where the action happens. Single girls are either so prudish that they won't even look at you, or so confident in themselves that they wouldn't understand what good sex is even if it was standing right in front of them." "Really? But how are married women different? I assume that if someone is married, she will at least try to be faithful." "Ha! Are you kidding me? It's not the 1950s and you're not on Leave It to Beaver, buddy. Most married women I have met while traveling for business or returning home to Dallas love the thrill of a mysterious man. The thought of cheating behind your loving hubby's back is such a turn-on that even the sweetest soccer moms I've met have blown my mind. What about husbands? What about them? Heck, if they can't satisfy the wife, she'll find someone who can. They may be good lovers, but she just wants to spice up her life. Those who are older, over 40, just want to know that they are not over the hill. As for my husband, why should I care? That's intriguing. Let me buy you a drink. I want to hear more." "Of course, Brody. You drink fine whiskey, which tells me that you are a socialite and can appreciate what I say." I called the bartender over and he refilled Nick's glass. I enjoyed myself while slowly sipping my Michter's. Nick hit a little harder. Instead of enjoying the $50 whiskey, he downed it in one gulp. Young punk, I thought, continuing my interrogation. "So, do any of these conquests of yours end up in divorce court?" "I don't keep count, but I'm sure there are some. I've only been caught a couple of times and I'm not expecting results. I do this for sex, not to steal a guy's wife. My only interest is to fuck some hot, ready-for-anything slut and have a blast. If she gets kicked to the curb, what do I care about? Even if there are children who will be in the center of events. What the fuck, Brody? Are you my priest or my drinking buddy? I have no intention of harming the children. But if some mommy wants to jump on my bones and lie around for a couple of hours, I'm okay with it. Like I said, these married sluts are some of the wildest creatures on the planet. Okay, dude, I'm not judging. Are there any recent examples of those that have proven pliable? He grinned from ear to ear. Yes, about 4 months ago, I returned home to Dallas to a local watering hole. Several women enter together. Looks like one of those girls' nights out. They each have a wedding ring on their finger, and at first they hung out together, just drinking and laughing. But I can spot horny ones from a mile away. It's easy if you know what to look for. Anyway, I checked them all, but I keep coming back to the brunette, who has beautiful brown hair and big brown eyes. She appears to be one of the oldest in the group. Turns out she was 42 years old, and like I said, she was starting to wonder if she was still sexy. She was sexy as hell, tall, with long, gorgeous legs that ended in one of the sweetest ass I've ever seen. Beautiful breasts to boot. I mean, she was the whole package. And I got a few flirty smiles as we looked into each other's eyes. So I waited until one or two other women were asked to dance before I made my move. You don't ask first. You want a woman who may not be desperate, but who is looking for someone who will tell her that she is beautiful. You want someone who's nervous about not being chosen yet. They are the easiest to fuck. Anyway, she agrees to have a drink and then dance. Soon, she's in my arms, breathing heavily into my ear. After one or two songs, I know that she is mine. We quickly leave and head to the hotel across the street, where we have amazing sex. I mean, she's crazy about it, letting me do whatever I want with her. At this point, Nick takes a breath and composes himself, perhaps realizing that he is too wound up. He gets up from the bar stool. Let me take a leak, and then I'll finish the story. You won't believe what happened next. While Nick is gone, I order us 2 more servings. My colleague approaches, looking bored. Anything exciting or unusual? He asks casually. No, as always, the same song. You think you'll be ready to end this pretty soon? Yeah, I think old Nick and I are finishing our last drink. Without further conversation, he returns to his seat at the end of the bar, orders a Michelob Ultra, and begins scrolling through his phone. Nick returns. He takes the glass and drains it without thanking me. He's too drunk to think about cultural niceties like manners. So, you said, oh yeah. And suddenly there's a knock on the door and some guy shouts, "Open up, Mandy. I know you're there. Open the door right now." He must have had some kind of tracking device on his phone. Mandy was hot, but she certainly wasn't the sharpest pencil in the box. She just looks at me and whispers, oh no, this can't be. It's my husband, Carl." She starts sobbing and hyperventilating, and all I can think about is that I need to get out of here quickly. He's pounding, she's wailing, and I'm getting dressed as quickly as I can. I'm ready to be out in less than a minute, so I throw open the door and try to squeeze past hubby Carl. He grabbed me, but he wasn't a big guy, and I can take care of myself quite well. I push him against the wall and hold him there for just a second. There is blinding rage in his eyes. Calm down, Carl. I don't want to hurt you. I do not know you. I just met your wife, and I'm leaving right now. I push him hard, and he falls to the floor. I'm out the door and down the hall before he can do anything stupid that would result in me kicking his ass. The last thing I hear as I head out is her screaming, "It's not what it looks like." Now I'm laughing out loud while I'm running. Isn't that what it looks like? What a stupid creature. It was exactly what it sounded like. She cheated on her husband because she wanted a thrill. Nick grinned as he finished his story. I don't know what happened, and like I said, I don't care. I got what I wanted. Sweet babe Mandy got the hard sex she needed, and Carl got what he deserved. But that's how the cookie crumbles, right, Brody, old man? I think so, Nick, I answered, looking at my drinking companion and perfectly hiding my true feelings. We sat for a minute or so in silence when Nick began rocking back and forth on the bar stool. I grabbed him and held him in place. Easy there, Nicky baby. I think you may have had too much to drink. Are you okay? Dude, the whiskey is getting on my nerves. I think I better go to bed. He tried unsuccessfully to get up. I caught him before he fell and leaned him against the counter. Do you have a room key, Nick? I'd rather help you get to bed. I don't think you can handle this on your own. Yeah, thanks, dude, he said, taking out the key to his room. 419, if you don't mind, help me get to the elevator and room. It's not a problem. Glad to help my new friend. I nodded to my colleague, who understood everything. He went to pay the bill at the bar while I escorted a drunken Nick to his room. I pulled him through the door and threw him on the bed. "Thank you, brother. I really appreciate your help. I usually handle alcohol better, but today, I seem to be a lightweight. By the way, Brody, I never asked you what you do or if you have a sweet woman on your side." I almost felt a tiny pity as I looked down at him. He had this stupid grin on his face. He looked ridiculous. "Well, Nick, I have a unique job. It's a very lucrative business and can be a little dangerous, but I make good money myself, and I'm always careful about my work." Nick looked like he was about to pass out, but I must have piqued his curiosity because he lingered with me for another minute or two. "Okay, so what do you do?" "I kill people, Nick." "Ha! Very funny, Brody. Come on, dude. What are you doing?" I sighed heavily, pulled a chair to the edge of the bed and sat down, knowing that Nick would not be able to move quickly, or at all, in about 3 minutes. "I kill people like you, Nick. People who commit heinous acts towards others, often destroying their lives and the lives of those around them. Tonight I'm working for a gentleman named Carl Danvers. I believe you met him a few months ago at a hotel in Dallas." Nick's eyes began to widen in fear. He tried to sit up but couldn't. "Absolutely right, Nick. You slept with his wife, but more importantly, you fucked their lives. They are on the verge of divorce, and 3 innocent children, ages 7, 9, and 12, are about to become part of yet another dysfunctional family. Carl found me through a friend of a former client. Through this mutual contact, he asked me to balance the scales of justice. He knows that his cheating, slutty wife will use our joke about the legal system to his advantage, so he can't expect justice in court. However, he has enough resources to bring justice to a piece of shit like you. Carl is crushed, Nick, and you did this to him. His children are devastated. His wife decided that instead of struggling with his guilt, she would tell him to come to terms with it. She, they say, had the right to her fun. He may not be able to do anything about her, but he's sure he's not going to let you off the hook, Nick. So, like I said, you confused Carl and destroyed his family, but tomorrow they will all be alive and can try to piece something together. On the other hand, you'll be dead in about 10 minutes. You shouldn't be drinking with strangers, Nick, especially if you're going to have women who belong to other men and leave your drink unattended. Damn, Nick, you were just so damn easy. I may have to pay Carl back a small amount." Nick was now gurgling, trying to speak, but couldn't say a word. There was a quiet knock on the door, and I left it briefly to let my colleague in. He took one look at Nick. "So, everything is fine here." To her. Nick only had a couple of minutes left. I hit him in the face to bring him to his senses. "Nick, listen carefully. I am the last person you will ever meet on this earth, and I want you to know that this is the face of a man who loves his job." Nick's eyes fluttered, then closed. It took my colleague and I a few minutes to erase everything. It didn't matter. We were in no hurry. The cops will look at the footage after they find the body, but they won't find anything. The 2 men captured on the bar security camera and the hallway camera entering this room looked nothing like their real selves. 90 minutes later, with our expertly designed disguises stripped and burned to the ground, we boarded 2 separate flights. His is in Montreal, mine is in Bozeman, Montana. The job is done, and we won't talk again for a month or 2 until the next job comes along. Just before takeoff, I sent a short message to a man who would message another man to message another man and relay the message to Mr. Carl Danvers in Texas. The trash has been taken out. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.